You're listening to Four Nations, Four Voices, set up by Amplifying Accessibility and supported by Newport City Radio. Hello, I am here with the wonderful Waters. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How's yourself?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm a little bit warm in Wales. We were having another heat wave, which is not like us whatsoever. We like to be cold and shivering.
Mm.
How
Yeah,
about
we
you?
had a little bit of that, but it's like kind of really humid but rainy, so nobody's really happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and because we haven't mentioned where you're from, can you tell people listening where you
Oh,
are
yeah,
from?
yeah, of course. I'm from Scotland, Glasgow specifically.
Have you always been from Glasgow?
Yeah, technically, I was born in a town called Paisley, but there's so many people here who were technically born in Paisley, but no one ever says Paisley. It's not because it's a bad place. It's actually really nice now. Um, but yeah, no, I'm from Glasgow.
What would you say is the best thing about Paisley?
The best thing about Paisley, there is this mad shop called Bailey's Antiques that is ran by a guy who is like the dude from Black Books. Um, like honestly, his social media posts are amazing. He's like, "I'm open if you want to come in. That's fine. Otherwise, don't talk to me. Like, I don't really care. Come in, buy stuff or don't." And it's wonderful. He's been going for years. So shout out Bailey's Antiques.
Shout out Bailey's Antiques. What a great shout out. And now let's talk about you. For people that haven't come across your music before, how would you describe it to them?
It's very weird. It's very weird. Like I didn't the stuff I make is kind of bizarre and I recognize that and the fact I've made it this far with it, it always kind of astounds me. Like I passed the eligibility stage for Scottish Album of the Year yesterday.
Wow.
And everybody's like, "That's really cool. That's really cool." And I'm like, "Yeah." And when I've posted about it on social media, I've said it would be mad funny if this wins because I think it is really weird sounding music. Like I'm really proud of it, and I do think it's really cool, and there's a lot of artistic merit to it. But it took me a while to kind of get to the point where I'm like, wow, there is like artistic merit to what boils down to taking sounds and kind of deconstructing them and then deconstructing them some more and then smashing them back together with like some really cheap sellotape and people seem to really like it,
I
you
love
know.
that. I feel like I've got a kindred spirit here with me because I find when I sit down to make music, my brain goes, I don't want to make something good. I want to make the ugliest sounding thing in the world. And then somehow it turns
100%.
out to be good, you know?
Well, there's a quote I'm going to butcher it that always inspires me and I tell people about it all the time because I think it's so what he says is so important. There's an interview with Willem Dafoe, the actor, you know, most famous for like Green Goblin and Spider-Man or whatever. Um, he says that he paints, and when he struggles to paint, he sits down and tries to make the worst painting possible.
hmm Yeah, just like letting it be rubbish, I think is sometimes all right. Even when you go, actually, I'm gonna stick with this thing that is not working right now. I find if I do that with music, when I then go to make another track, it's the best thing I've ever made because I've been
Yeah,
like sat in the mud for ages with one of them.
100%.
Um, so firstly, let me talk about so you've just passed the eligibility of Scottish Album of the Year. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How do you become eligible for this? This sounds amazing.
It is like people have been congratulating me a lot, which is really cool. But really, you just kind of have to meet a certain criteria. And I think it's something like a number of tracks. It has to be in Scotland, obviously. I think you have to be going a number of years, and there has to be like artistic merit to it. But lo and behold, ALEXITHYMIA passed. So,
That is incredible. And when do you find the outcome?
well, this is the part that kind of sucks, and it is not a criticism on SMIA in any way. I totally get it. They have to go through quite a lot of albums that reach this stage. So I won't find out if I reach the long list until September time.
That's
But
so long.
I know, I kind of it is what it is. Like I've never been an award person. Like for me, winning this award would mean being able to go up on stage, give a really, really funny speech. Like I have so many ideas, and I do it in my. I don't know if you check my social media. My hyperfixation is Marvel's Daredevil.
Yeah.
I would accept the award in the suit, of course. But on the bigger front, to be able to be an openly neurodiverse artist and to win an award like that, even to be like shortlisted in an industry that constantly, whether it's intentional or not, says no to you or puts barriers in place, would be so huge. Because I go around a lot of schools, and it's great to inspire kids, and to be able to point at something like that, it's great. Like for me, on a personal level, awards don't ever matter that much. They're cool,
Mm.
but in a grander sense, and this is what I've really came to realize recently with my music and my work as Waters, is I can't think of it in a selfish individual way anymore. Waters is all about kind of trying to become this symbol for other people, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely came across that when I was looking through your social media. I mean, the post about, I'm going to butcher how this is
Oh
titled.
God.
Alexithymia?
ALEXITHYMIA.
Alexithymia. So close for
You
all the
were very
beginners.
close. You were very close.
Oh, it's a nightmare. I for ages used to think yacht was pronounced yacht because of the CH in the middle. I was like, why
Okay.
is it yacht? It's definitely yacht. And they were like,
Yeah,
people are,
yeah.
no, it's not. So you recently released this in January 2026. And I was reading through your post about it, and you were talking about sort of how representation was really important and neurodivergence wasn't really a word, sort of like when you were growing up and that sort of experience. Could you talk a little bit about that and this amazing project
Yeah.
that you've done?
Cool. So for context, I'm autistic and I've got OCD. And a couple of other things. We'd be here all day. But basically, growing up, I got diagnosed with autism when I was 11, and I'm 26 now. And to be fair, I think it was partially because a teacher had mentioned the word autism to my mum and dad. But even like at that school, when I officially got the diagnosis, they were like, autism doesn't exist. And that was the experience across the board for a good number of years. I ended up being taken out of school and being home educated by my mum and dad for quite a few years until I was very fortunate enough to go to a high school that was fantastic for diverse people. Their support team was phenomenal. My pastoral care teacher was able to come to a talk I recently gave, which was really, really nice. That meant a lot. Growing up then, it was such a. It's so weird to talk about because it makes me think like how much has changed in say 15 years. I mean, it's not. It is not at the level of what's the word I'm looking for. The level of understanding that it should nearly be at, but compared to how it was then, it's crazy, that even the word neurodiversity is in the public sphere at the moment.
So, would you say that making space to be representative of neurodivergent communities is a really big conscious thing that you do within your work, or are you more one of the artists that goes, actually, I want the art to speak for itself? I think both approaches are totally acceptable within music.
I think you're very right. I think you can have both. For me personally, in terms of creating spaces, it's something I'm doing. It's something I don't think I do enough. It's something I really am looking to expand upon towards the latter half of this year and further afield. I never feel like I'm doing enough. So I'm going to do what I can, if that makes sense. Uh, but yeah, I think, see, it was a conflict for me, especially making Alexithymia, was I didn't want to make a project that was just, look at me, I have autism, right? Which is totally acceptable if that's your bag. It totally is. But I, I I think a lot of art around disability, around neurodiversity, especially this is more mainstream, um, seems to serve neurotypical people first. And I'm talking about the likes of shows like the Undateables or even like Love on the Spectrum. There, there's very few mainstream art pieces that are being funded by big studios like Channel 4. I know I'm talking TV here, but
Mm.
art's a spectrum. Ironic, but there's very few pieces out there that I can think presently that are made by neurodiverse people for neurodiverse people and that are backed in the mainstream. And this is what I kind of seen with this opportunity from Creative Scotland that I was really grateful for. And I think it's one of the reasons why it ended up passing muster after I think 5 applications it took us to get through. It wasn't going out of its way to inspire people, and it wasn't going out of its way to be kind of like a tragedy, self sort of pity thing. Um, I think both of those motives around art are important and they do have validity. My message I give to a lot of other neurodiverse artists that say I've inspired them is remember you don't owe that to other people. Just because you're neurodiverse, just because you've been through strife or whatever, you don't then owe it to other people to, especially people who haven't been through that. You don't owe them your experience, if that makes sense. You owe it to yourself to make the art that you want to make. Now, if that is about your experience, then great, go for it. But make sure you're doing it for you, and make sure it isn't just because you know it will make a neurodiverse person feel like they've done a good thing.
What is something that then maybe along that line of conversation that you would like non-disabled, non-neurodiverse people to do more often?
Okay, this is something I've said a lot, and it's really simple, and I think it would solve so many problems if they just spoke to us, if they just took the time to sit down and speak to us, because
Hmm.
the amount of times, and especially in like previous places I've worked or previous sectors, where I've overheard conversations or even out and about people talking about how they can make their business or how they can make their art or whatever more accessible to neurodiverse people. And they sit for ages and they come up with all these grandiose plans. However, never at one point have they brought in somebody who's actually going to benefit from the accessibility. There's no accessibility without us, right? I think that's a very like core truth. You can't like make things better without talking to the person that you're trying to make it better for. And I think a lot of people are scared about getting it wrong or whatever, which I totally sympathize with. Nobody wants to be the person or the organization that gets something wrong. But the thing is, you can make mistakes, you can get things wrong. It's a great way to learn is to get things wrong, but unless you like take the first step and actually talk to us, then those mistakes won't even get made. So things won't be learned.
Let's talk about Scotland. What is it like to be an artist in your country? What's your local music scene like?
It's very interesting. Scotland's music scene has been going a long time, obviously. It is very well known, it's very well renowned, which is great. However, I think that it has stagnated a lot over the last few years. And I don't think that's on purpose in any way. Glasgow in particular, right? Because I've not spent enough time in Edinburgh to know, but Glasgow in particular right now with venues does not have a lot of support, unfortunately. A lot of venues have shut down. We've had a lot of fires over the last 7 years, which is really weird to say. There have been 4 really high profile fires over the last 7 years. So basically, the biggest street for nightlife in Glasgow is Suckyhall Street, and it's also where the Glasgow School of Art is. It's one of the oldest art schools in the world. And unfortunately, there was a fire. Well, there was 2 fires 2 years apart at this art school, and it basically tore through the street and destroyed like 6 or 8 venues. It's never really came back. It's a real shame. And then there was a fire a couple of months ago at the city centre's main central train station, which totally disrupted travel. It still is. They're still saying parts of the station won't open until 2030, which is
Oh my God.
mad. I think the Glasgow music scene and the Scottish music scene to a degree is in a real survivalist mode at the moment, because I think people recognise subconsciously or consciously that there isn't a lot going at the moment in terms of resources. Things are scarce. We have a limited number of festivals, a limited number of venues. It's difficult to put everybody on, and with that, unfortunately, I think has come a kind of almost like kind of, I don't want to use the term cliquey mentality, but there's a real sort of, if you know somebody, then you're kind of in, if that makes sense. So if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, you know, great, you're kind of set, you're all right. You can get gigs from so and so, you can get promo from so and so, which is great. However, it makes it very un-neurodiverse friendly, I find. I wrote a paper about this a couple of months ago, not just talking about Scotland, but UK wide, that I think neurodiverse artists, particularly people like me who have something that's classed as a communication disability, from square one are being socially priced out of the music industry, because so much of the music industry relies on that sort of relationship of knowing somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, right? You have to get your foot in at ecosystems. And, for somebody like me who's autistic, right, I've learned a lot of coping mechanisms over the years, particularly around sensory issues and around talking to people. Asking somebody like me who perhaps hasn't learned those and who is just starting out to go to a big networking event with hundreds of people and just kind of throwing them in at the deep end it's untenable. It's a real shame. And again, the simple solutions would fix it. Like, a lot of conferences up here have like one-on-one professional meetings, right, where like they'll have speakers and you can talk to them one-on-one for maybe 5-10 minutes, and you schedule it in, which is great, but it's in a huge, loud, bustling room. All you would need to do is introduce maybe a quiet hour or two, and it would help so many people. But I think that's where Glasgow does have an advantage, because I don't want it to be all doom and gloom. I think on a whole, Glasgow's music scene and Scotland's music scene is very well-meaning. And I have met some wonderful, wonderful people. The college I went to still supports me so much. They let me come in and use their facilities practically every day. It's a joke that I've kind of become furniture there, despite graduating. Riverside Music College, shout out, they're wonderful. That's where I recorded ALEXITHYMIA, and their recording lecturer, Ross Cameron, he engineered and mixed it all. And when you do ask for help in the Glasgow music scene, 9 times out of 10, you do get it. I just wish that, I don't know if it would have to be on a government level or whatever, there was just a bit more support for artists so we can kind of get out of this survival mindset.
Who is an artist from your country that you're like, this person needs more recognition? They're doing some good stuff, making some good music.
Okay, so there's a boy by the name of Saul Burney who goes by Object Ash. He's phenomenal. I think he's only like 20 or 21. Kyle Faulkner of The View owns this amazing villa in Spain. It's like a songwriting retreat, and I've been there twice now. And I met Saul, what was it, last August. The songwriting retreats are brilliant. They're called La Sierra Casa. Every camp has a specific mentor. So that mentor was, do you know the Mystery Jets at all?
No, I don't. Tell me about them. I love the name.
They're brilliant. They're run by a lovely, lovely guy called Blaine Harrison, who is also a disabled artist, so there was a real sort of kinship there. Blaine was fantastic. That going out to Spain was the first sort of week of officially writing ALEXITHYMIA, and I had such writer's block going into it. Blaine really helped me get out of it. But it wasn't just Blaine, it was meeting other artists like Saul. Now, going back to Saul, because I really want to give him his dues, he's 20, 21, and he's made like, I think it's something daft, like over 20 EPs and 8 albums. I'm always like, quantity it does not always equal quality, right? I mean, I knew someone who, not personally, but they were very famous online, who they ended up putting out like an album every week, but objectively it wasn't very good. Saul, though, puts out quality after quality release, and it is nuts. I think this is his own words I'm using here, so he won't mind me describing it this way. It sounds straight out of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Emo's not really my sort of genre. I can really appreciate it. There's certain artists, but Saul is amazing. So Object Ash, I highly encourage people to check out, and he's a lovely dude as well.
Would you say that where you live influences your approach as an artist, whether that be creatively, professionally?
I'd say less so Glasgow as a whole and more my local neighbourhood. I think locale is a very important element of being an artist. For ALEXITHYMIA, I ended up writing sort of a almost like portfolio slash website. Suppose you could call it a codex. It's getting released soon, and it basically goes through my entire process for the project, which is funny because, and this is on a personal level, I think other people doing it's cool. I don't like the idea of videoing like my songwriting process and stuff. I think it takes a lot of the fun out of listening to music. Like cast your minds back to like, I don't know, 8 years ago when Childish Gambino brought out This Is America.
Mm.
Everybody was talking about what does this song mean? What does that mean? You know, what does that mean in the video? And he refused to talk about it. And I think that was one of the coolest things because it really gave people a chance to kind of sit with it. Now, if you want to explain it, that is cool. But for me, ALEXITHYMIA, I kind of sat with it. There was a lot of really weird things I undertook to make this project. Like a lot of like borderline method acting type stuff. It was heavily inspired by, a lot of works of fiction. It was heavily inspired by my lived experience, but it was like taking on certain archetypes that are in fiction, for instance, and trying to embody them through songs. Something I do or have done as a neurodiverse person, and I've read into this recently, apparently it's quite a universal experience, is learning how to talk from TV or from books or fiction.
Sadistic
Apparently,
wiki how.
no way.
Yeah.
Well, it was ironic because what got me thinking about it was Nicolas Cage's latest show, Spider Noir, where it's basically 1940s Spider-Man. But anyway, he ends up talking about how after he becomes the Spider, he has to relearn how to be human and how to talk. And the reason he talks like a noir detective isn't because it's a noir show. It's because that's how he taught himself to speak again. He went and saw noir detective films, and I'm like, I don't know if they realize that, but that's like the neurodiverse experience for a lot of people. So for me, it was particularly Daredevil focused.
I've seen some of your cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so impressive. How come Daredevil?
He was the first disabled superhero.
Mm.
And it's not just the fact that he's a superhero. There's Batman, right? Batman's like this rich guy, goes about. There's Superman, he's got all these powers. But Daredevil is just a blind guy who happens to be a lawyer who tries to do his best to help people in both his real life and alter ego life. And he doesn't always get things right. He doesn't really have any powers. This is the funny thing. He is a blind guy who got taught by another blind guy how to fight.
Mm.
And that is essentially it. Despite that, he goes out and does mad things and he almost dies so many times just fighting for what is right. And there's like something really inspiring about it, and it really inspired one of the main songs on the project. And it was at a point where I was really struggling to write a lot of songs. It's funny because I always have it here because like when I'm blocked or when I'm not feeling great, I always go to it to kind of draw strength upon it in a way. There's a passage, right? I'll read it. I won't show it because this comic is so old, right? It's like, I think this is from the 70s. It goes, and the song on the project, Heaven Is Known Who You Are, is directly named after it. It goes, how does a man find the strength to walk through a terminal winter? How does a flower find its way through ice and snow? There is one thing even the devil himself can't touch, spirit. Flowers were meant to survive. Life has a blind faith in itself, even in hell, because heaven is known who you are. And I think there is something so beautiful and really profound about that passage. And I think as a neurodiverse person, that really encapsulated a lot of my experience as well. Because sometimes you don't really know how the world expects you to act, and sometimes you lose yourself. But once you kind of accept things, or once you kind of learn more about yourself. What that passage says is true. There's nothing better.
We're gonna move some from some beautiful words to a game. We're gonna play a game called Croeso Gymru, Welcome to Wales, where we introduce you to the longest train station name in Wales and see how quickly you can say it out of all the four artists that are being interviewed. And I bet you the Welsh one will say it the slowest because none of us know how to say it. I've got a timer and we
Oh
have the words
Jesus.
on the screen. It's something pronounced. I don't know if you've heard it before, but it's like Llanfair Port Gwen Gogorell o'r drob o Llantysilio Gogogoch.
Uh-huh. Okay.
As easy as that. Are you feeling prepared to say it?
No. Can we not like talk about like Yanto's place or something? I'm aware of that.
No, because wasn't that a lie? So
No, is that not there? Is the wool being pulled over my eyes?
maybe I'm wrong, and people can get angry at me if I am. I believe it was sort of a legend made up by a local pub to get more people to visit. Um,
No.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break your heart.
Oh man.
Yeah, but now it's your turn
Okay.
to do this. So I'm gonna do a three, two, one, go, and then I'll set the timer.
Jesus.
Okay?
Right.
Because why wouldn't we do
Oh,
something inaccessible on a Disability Pride Month?
that's actually a great bit. I like that a lot.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Three, two, one, go.
Okay. Clan via put Gwyn ga ke on to hun dro buffin lun to Sealy o go gok.
Oh,
That
amazing.
I feel like I was summoning Cthulhu there or something like.
You definitely put your own spin on the word there. That was
Oh Jesus Christ!
you did it in 18.24 seconds. Well
Jesus.
done. And you were the first of the artists to do it, and so you are number one. Congratulations!
Fantastic. I feel like Scotland in the World Cup.
Let's chat a little bit about your music because I
Sure.
sat down and the first one I listened to was I Won't Hurt You, but I popped it
Oh God.
on my drive on my Google Drive, and I had my headphones on, and at first thought where my head was, wouldn't it be really funny if I had my laptop too loud? Oh my days, what? The
Yeah.
EDM heart attack that I received, but also joy as an EDM artist because it's got this sort of industrial punkness to it.
Mhm.
What an energy that you have in your music is
No, thank
otherworldly.
you.
How did you come across and develop this sound that you've got?
Okay, so those I Wouldn't Hurt You and a couple of the other ones I've sent you haven't been. They're getting released next month. They were. This will sound terrible. They were assembled in a mad panic because I got asked to do a show in Belfast, and I didn't have enough material that was consistent with what was on ALEXITHYMIA.
Mm.
So I had to make 4 songs in 2 weeks. And that was, I think I Won't Hurt You has something daft like 30 different drum sample loops that I've like stitched together and destroyed, you know.
Mm.
Um, so the sound is very, for me, what really got me into music was a band called Death Grips, if you're aware of them. Um, they inspire me a lot, not just for their music but their ethos, like going back to that whole sort of thing of not explaining stuff. I mean, they've given like 2 interviews in the like 15 years they've been active, which I think is mad funny. At least currently I work under the motive of wanting to make stuff that makes people go, what was that, you know?
Yeah.
But a good what was that, like, whoa, what was that, and they have to like rewind it and re-listen to it. And that was one of the key things I actually wanted to tackle with alexithymia. So alexithymia is a Greek word meaning emotions without words, and it's a recognized medical condition, and it's quite common in those with autism. It's the ability to feel emotions really like loudly and intensely,
Mm.
but being unable to describe them. So I wanted to make something that was loud and intense but undescribable. And the fact people have had to listen to it multiple times to even kind of pin it down to a genre is great, because when it first came out, it got played on Jesus, it got played on rock, it got played on hip hop, it got played on electronic, it got played on drum and bass, it got played on indie stations. People had like all these different interpretations of it, and it was like wonderful, like to see that actually like work out that way.
Honestly, I get it as well from listening to sort of your discography. The names that I was coming up with were like Fat Dog, Sad Night Dynamite. Again, two bands completely different from each other as well. And then even ones that we've got local to Wales. So we've got someone called May Swoon, now Friends Are Evil, who like makes all this industrial EDM, and one of their tracks is called Kick in the Shins. And the
Mm.
whole set is them trying to kick in the shins, but it's like just this heavy industrial. Um, but then also bands that are more melodic, like Porridge. I mean, shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Yeah, totally
Different.
left field, like to the compared to the rest of the record. And yeah, I'm so glad that yeah that people seem to like that one. I'm obsessed with having projects where not one song sounds the same, but it also still sounds coherent, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, all of it works together.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like, shall I compare to this thee to a summer's day? I was like, oh, this is like some melodic, electronic, and then suddenly it's like, bam, synth bass, and it's like the heaviest thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, we're back in, we're back into this
yeah,
industrial
yeah.
feel, and it's almost like it gives us a little bit of a breather to go back into the energy of what you make as well. I'd also like to talk about your choices when you perform. So you is this Daredevil inspired? You wear like a face, an eye mask, a head wrap, kind of blindfold.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. So it's inspired by his suit from season three, and also the Frank Miller Man Fight Fear line. And it's a really simple thing. It's like this black mask that goes over my face, ties at the back, and then I wear all black. Although recently I've had to start wearing like a tank top on stage because it gets too hot. I was doing it in a black coat before, and oh god, that was a mistake. It was not fun.
Fair play to you. Fair play. That's the commitment to it. And
Yeah,
what is upcoming for you? What should people expect from Waters next?
cool. So gonna win album of the year, definitely
Yeah.
has to happen. Has to
Guaranteed now that we've
happen.
recorded this.
Exactly. Just because it will be really funny when it does. Like
And then you
I
get to wear
guarantee
your
you.
suit when you go up as well. Your de
I I always think of it was the Grammys like in the 90s, and the Wu-Tang Clan were up for something, and they didn't win, and Old Dirty ends up like interrupting it. This is the thing, everybody talks about Kanye West interrupting. Old Dirty did it first. He went up on stage interrupting someone. I can't remember who it was. It was maybe Tribe Called Twist, and he grabs the mic and he's like, "Hold on a minute. Now I paid a lot of money for this suit to wear and to win this award." I just want to say Wu Tang is for the children, and yeah, I love moments like that. But yeah, sorry, I went on a massive tangent. In terms of what's coming up, um, so I have four new songs releasing over the next 4 weeks, starting Monday with a song called The Grand Design. Um, Very heavy. I don't want to call them the B-sides to Alexithymia because they were made after Alexithymia. They also aren't part of the next album, which is getting recorded from September onwards. I
Mm.
don't know when that will be out. That depends on a lot of things. So I've got that coming up. There's maybe a couple of filming sort of things going on. I don't really want to. I can't really talk about at the moment. Um, I'm maybe running the London Marathon in
You're
the
running a
start
London
of
marathon?
maybe. There's a couple of things that need to work out logistically, but if that does happen, it will be for the National Autistic Society, and I will do it in the Daredevil suit if I can find one uh, breathable enough. And I will be being trained by my cousin Josh, who Josh is wonderful. He won Gladiator there, the TV show. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we've got a mad family. The joke is like if I can win album of the year, then we'll have best gladiator and best musician in the family within the space of a year, which would be mad funny. But yeah, so It sounds like lots, but to me, it's not nearly enough. But I'll find time to fill it. You know.
And where can people check out all the great things that you're doing? Come on, plug those social media handles.
Okay, so everything you can find on Instagram, which is at Waters, but it's spelled W.ATTERS. And then music wise, you can find it on the Dark Lord, Spotify, and every other good streaming platform. I'm working out other means for people to hear it. I'm obsessed with the idea. Before I studied music, I studied film, and then before I studied film, I studied games design. I'd love to revisit that at some point, like making a game the only way you could listen to an album, which would be hugely impractical, but would also be quite funny.
We need
Again,
to make
like
that happen.
I think there's something to be said about doing stuff because it's funny, and I think that's 90% of the reason why I've gotten this far.
You've been an absolute joy to interview.
No,
Um,
thanks for having me. This has been a blast.
my last question is for a disabled person or disabled artist that is watching this or listening to this right now, or reading the captions that goes along, what piece of advice or what one thing would you like to tell them?
I'd say if you're considering getting into music or whatever passion you've got, even if it's not art, like I don't know, maybe you like going to the gym, maybe you like running, maybe you like I don't know, like whatever it is that you're passionate about, just like do it. Like even if it's not on a professional level or whatever, just do it anyway. Like there's a lot of kind of, joy to just get out of doing what you love. And it's not like that's a very typical piece of advice people give a lot, but I think there's more to it. I think whatever you're passionate about at the moment, right? Try and tackle it with the passion that you had for your favorite thing when you were like 8 years old. I think getting in touch with your inner child and the kind of joy and potential that they had is very important, very powerful, and I think it's something that's kind of beaten out of us a little bit as we grow up, sadly. And I think it's very important to revisit that. For me personally, like I kept a lot of my kind of nerdier side hidden when I like turned 18, sort of, maybe 20, especially over lockdown. But as soon as I started really embracing things really took off for me. I think just grab everything with 100%. And that this is another thing I said in an interview a while ago, but I was thinking about it today, and I want to reiterate with it. If you're ever kind of in doubt or whatever, like, or you don't know what to do, like, I think try and think of a good figure in your life and kind of ask yourself what they would do. And I know the classic thing is to always people always they joke about it in films and they're like, "What would Jesus do?" But like, not everybody's a follower of that. So I think a more simple, more modern version of that is, "What would Superman do?"
Thank you so much, Waters, and thank you for being
No,
on
thank you.
Four Nations, Four Voices. Four Nations, Four Voices has been set up by Amplifying Accessibility and supported by Newport City Radio. You can watch and listen to the full episode again and again on Amplifying Accessibility's YouTube channel.